Hello, good evening, and welcome to the FB4 Podcast for this Sunday night. I am Gav, and with me I have Grizz, I have Keith, but most importantly, returning from 2 weeks in the sun with Carragher. He done a video, but I don't know when it's going to be released. It is the man that makes up the A team. We were going to do the A team tune, but we didn't have enough time. It is Seany Lawson. Seany, I'm going to come to you first, and I want to start about this whole penalty messing, right? Because I looked up stats. It's not like me to do this, but I looked it up. And in the most amount of penalties given in a full league season in the Premier League is 106. There's 2 seasons that had 106 penalties, all right? Over 380 games. I think we've played 28 games this season in the league. Maybe a little bit less because United and City missed out. And there's already been 16 penalties. Do you reckon we got over 200 penalties this season, Seany?
The way it's going, yeah, because it doesn't look like they're going to relight the law of that stupid handball rule within the confines of the season. Now, I know Steve Bruce came out strongly against it today, even though he got a point in the end, and I'm fair play to him. He came out and said, like, I've no idea how aggrieved I'd feel if that went against me there today, because it's absolutely ridiculous at this stage. I think I agree with the concept of VAR, but I think it's being completely misused now. And this new handball rule is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, anyone who's played football knows that when you're jumping up to head the ball, you use your arms to get up. So it's not an unnatural position. That's a natural movement for a footballer heading the ball. But the thing is, the people writing the rules don't understand this. It's probably a rule that was sat down and probably 15, 20 current referees and ex-referees came up and said, this is probably the way we should do it. Now, in fairness, it's no longer a grey matter. It's kind of black and white now, and I think that's what people asked for. But like, surely in certain circumstances, common sense just has to be used. And they have the monitors on the side of the pitch, and it literally just takes, look, the lads in Stockley Park, have a look at that. There was a handball in the build-up there. Was it deliberate or could have been avoidable? And like, Eric Doyle is not even facing the state of play there today, and he's penalised. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, on the other hand, the Mopoi one, I think that was a penalty. I think he does. He moves his arm in a motion towards the ball as if he's protecting his face. I think he needs to probably have a look at himself. But some absolutely bizarre decisions in the first couple of weeks. I don't know. I think VAR needs to be. One of the governing bodies need to say, this is it, and this is how you implement it. I think the fact that the Premier League have tried to spearhead it, it's gone massively wrong for them. And we thought this would cut out talking points, but it's literally making the game worse. I hate the dash out that the game is gone, but it's quickly gone. With this new rule.
It is, and like the Mopay one is mad, and it's compounded by the fact that the final whistle goes, and you know, everyone thinks the game's over, and then they're looking at screens, and Fernando takes the penalty, and you know, your Man United win a game after full time, you know, and all this sort of stuff. But the Doyle one today, like you said, he goes up to try to get a ball, he doesn't get to it. Andy Carroll's behind him, heads it back in the direction of him when he's not even looking at Andy Carroll, and it hits him on the arm. Now, like you said, it's a natural movement, so he's mid-movement as this happens. If Andy Carroll heads that and it's coming straight at the defender and he puts his arms up, it's a penalty, right? You know, that's not a natural position. My understanding always was if it's not in a natural position, but they're talking about silhouettes and all now and all sorts of stuff. You know, like the one even against United on the against Palace for me wasn't a penalty. You know, the ball is chipped at the guy as he's running. You know, where are you meant to put your arms? You know, the kind of way. Grizz, is this a case of and like someone says there, it's not a new rule. FIFA and UEFA are just getting the Premier League to come into line with the rest of Europe, but and you know, people are saying there it's killing football and it's making a farce of fucking things, Grizz. But is there an argument that any sort of common sense has just disappeared now of the game now?
For now, it does seem that way, but there's no chance they don't amend this before too long. There's no chance.
But I'm not too sure if they can. I'm not too sure if they can amend a rule mid-season.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure either. But there's
because
no way.
people that would have had decisions against them will be saying, well, we got these against us and caused us points, and they are changing it so other teams will benefit theoretically throughout the year.
You know that stat that you came out with? It'll be smashed by Christmas, if that's the case. Because more so, I know you guys have discussed the Dyer incident with Spurs, right? And that's obviously crazy because, as Shawnee says, he's jumping and it's hit the back of it. Like he's turned his back and it's hit the back of his hand while he's jumping in the air. And that's absolutely madness. Worst ones that will take place if this rule is not amended is the one Gary Neville was referring to today. And he talks sense because he says when a fullback in the area, because this is what's going to happen now. When a fullback is up against a tricky fucking winger, let's say Zaha or Saha or Mane, there's no way you can defend against them one-on-one without having your hands sort of by the side, ready to go either way, right? There's no way you can defend against them with your arms behind your back because now what every attacker and what every clever manager, I wouldn't say, they're going to play by the rules now, what every cunning coach or clever coach, call them how you want, will do is make sure that once you're in the area, you know how attackers or defenders play for corners? They try to get the corners off you and deflect off. That's what they're going to do. They're going to blast it around your hands because the rule at the moment, as we guys are talking about, is, Shawnee, are you referring to that the rule is black and white? If it hits your hand, it's a penalty, regardless of intention.
And I get that. I understand that, and I can see the valid point of that. But how can you is a footballer supposed to jump and challenge strikers with his hands down by his side? It's just like you said, Grizz. The likes of Zaha, he's going to be flicking the ball up at defenders' hips, hoping it hits a hand. And Mane will be the very one.
Every instruction from every winger, not even a winger, fullback, wherever you are, once you're in the area, just blast it at them. And if it hits the hand, we're guaranteed a penalty. That's why this has to be changed. Otherwise, it's going to become even more of a farce. Trust me, guys, because every club, every coach is looking to gain every advantage possible. And, once you get in the area, this is an absolute opportunity to score a goal via penalty. Just smash it against their hands.
It is, but Keith, is it that simple? Is it that simple that if say for instance you're standing in the box, Keith, a yard inside your box, and there's a guy 3 yards away from you, and your hands are down by your side, and he hits the ball at you, and it hits you in the hand, is it that clear that it's a penalty? Because we all know that if there's any handball touch by an attacking player, whether it's meant or not, it's a free out. Goals have been disallowed. The major one last season being City at home to Spurs in the second game of the season, if you remember right. I think it might have hit Gabriel Jesus' hand or something like that.
No, hit Laporte, I think, on the way through.
Sorry, hit Laporte for Jesus to score. But it can't be that simple, Keith, because I've heard this thing about silhouette. Now, I don't know what way. Have they got a big book of silhouettes where this is the position you're in if you're trying to stop a throw or trying to stop a cross? This is the one you should be in if you're going for a header. What's your understanding on this? Because, Kevin Sullivan says, it's quite straightforward the way it's written. I'd love someone to put up the way it's written. But what's your understanding of this? Because for me, it is getting a bit out of hand now.
It is, but what I think is going to happen, I think they're going to be lashing penalties in left, right and centre for the first few weeks, and then it's going to get pulled up, and they won't change the rule, but the refs will just apply a bit of common sense to it, and they will use a bit more, they'll be a bit more subjective with it, and that'll annoy people as well, because you'll never get a solution that suits everyone and makes everyone happy. So you'll either have given every single touch that goes off a hand, whether it's accidental or not. I mean, if we go back to the Man City-Liverpool game last season where the ball hits Trent's hand in the Liverpool box, goes up the other end and we score. And they're saying that's an unnatural position of Trent's hand. But Trent's hand was in a very natural position there because he was stopping and Aguero was beside him and his arm was in the exact same position.
And nobody talks about the fact that actually the ball comes off Bernardo Silva's hand.
Yeah.
So it would have been a free to Liverpool anyway.
Yeah, like it's just if this reel's gonna go ahead, we're gonna have to bring Matt to bleeding Dr. Frankenstein or something and get his hands bleeding sawed off or something because the fella has the longest arms I've ever seen in my life. So if they're gonna be going by silhouettes, how are they gonna work this? Like they're opening a fucking mental. They're opening this mad silhouette, this kind of worms. When
this is why I think it's
literally just be, the ref, you've given a penalty.
Go on.
Look, you've given a penalty. So what do you do? All right, that's in Stockley Park. Do you know what? You might want to have another look at that and see if it was deliberate or not. Or it was not this. Like that ref would have never spotted that penalty at Brighton yesterday.
No,
never. But it goes to Stockley Park and it gets the show. And that one today at Newcastle, it's the same. It's ridiculous in my opinion. And look, we'll be on the end of them this year and we'll get them in their favour. My opinion won't change no matter what. Like it's just going to be
we'll get them against us as well. Like they will be bleeding down apeshit when they start going against us. Never mind, we haven't, as you said, we haven't been on the receiving end of one of them, but we will be at some stage. We're going to be on the receiving end. But genuinely, I think the first few weeks they're going to be lashing penalties in left, right, and centre, and then they'll start, as Shawnee said, go and have a look at that, and they'll start being a bit more he can't do anything with his arm, because I think the rule is that the refs have to make the decision themselves. I think.
But but Keith, do you feel a bit sorry for the officials here, because there's obviously a mandate there that looks a bit stupid, and they have to implement it. They have to implement it, and they might be looking at it going, "Fuck's sake, I have to give this." The kind of way in their own head to look at the screen going, "I have to give this fucking penalty," and in his own mind, he knows he's going against his own common sense. Because let's be honest, listen to most referees' talks. They're fucking normal blokes refereeing at the highest level of the game. They're normal fellas that no doubt, when they're not reffing, they watch a lot of football, support teams or whatever. And trust me, if Mike Dean is in the crowd for Tranmere and that happens, he's giving the fucking loads. That kind of way. Do you feel a bit sorry for them because they have to implement this? It's a bit like the time. Do you remember when they said, "Look, we're cutting out any back chat to the referee"? Yeah. And the referee, most referees loved it. They'd have the to and fro with players, and all right, you don't want to go over the top, but they had to start handing out yellows. If fellas said, "Fuck off, ref," or whatever, the kind of way. Would you feel a bit sorry for them?
It's hard to feel sorry for them, because I think, and maybe it's not just a Premier League thing, but the level of the standard of refereeing is deplorable in the Premiership, and I think that comes from the very top. So Mike Riley being the head of I don't know what the acronym is for the refs, PGMOL or whatever it is, and he was a deplorable ref himself. And I find there's a very much they don't like to admit fault, and I think there's an arrogance to Premier League referees, and it could be the same in the league, it could be the same in the Bundesliga, it could be the same everywhere, but I find Premier League refs are just deplorable, and I think they don't want to. I think they were arrogant with the VAR last season. Thought they were pretty disgraceful with the handling of that and their refusal to go and check monitors and things like that. And I think this year they're going to get this rule, and it's going to take, I think, Michael Oliver or one of them to
get a mad noise off somebody there.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Probably Grizz. He's just ignoring it.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
He usually does. But it's going to take a Michael Oliver or something to just start using common sense, and I'll just use him as possibly the top ref out there. But hold on, I'm going to put myself on mute and see if it's me.
It's not me.
I'm not making it.
No, it's just a noise coming.
Just a noise.
Yeah.
It was ads the other day, now it's noise. Against us, they're all against us, it's the refs.
It's YouTube live streaming.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. What is coming off?
I'm gonna drop out and see if it's
Yeah, drop out, Keith, and come back in.
No, it's not him.
Right, I'll drop out.
God.
He's dropping out. He's trying to work out who it is. Shall I drop out?
Yeah, please.
I think it's you, Gav.
Still there.
I'll drop. When it stopped when you dropped out. I'll drop out now.
Shawnee. It's Shawnee.
Right.
So anyway, sorry about that. Don't know what was going on there, but Keith will continue the discussion. I'm going to have to edit that out now later.
Is Shawnee back?
Let's see if Shawnee. Yeah, it's Shawnee. It's 100% Shawnee. Yeah. Now he's taking his headphones out. Can't hear you. Let me see.
He's on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute now. This is brilliant, isn't it?
Unmute him there.
What's the story?
Yep, he's all right there now. And Grizz can't find his way back in, which is amazing. We're sorry for that. We apologise. These things happen every so often. It's just a connection, I'd say, in your headphones. But anyway,
still on holiday time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right, Grizz, you're okay there. Everybody's all right. Hit the like button if you like hearing loads of static on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
that's how it works. We're sorry about that, and I'll take a note of that. 16 minutes in is when we.
They're not giving out about transfers. They're giving out about static. You never.
I know. Yeah, I know.
This is it.
You know.
This is it. The joy is.
They'll blame Linda on it, so it doesn't matter. Right. So the penalty stuff. Referees. We could feel a bit sorry for them, but then again, the quality of them isn't great and stuff like that.
But they're not making life easy for them, other Gav. I kind of do feel sorry for them, but they're complicating it so much. There's a mixture of using your common sense, then go and see the screen. They're complicating it for the refs. I actually feel sorry for them. It's not the referee. This is a directive from above, and which they have to follow. And you're right. Some of them are thinking, "What the fuck?" But I've got to give it. Otherwise, they'd probably be told off. You know, it's not VAR, it's the directives. The directive that's given to them is fucked up.
The one that's annoying me the most, and the penalty stuff is annoying, don't get me wrong, but you see the offside stuff? When there's a fella 2 yards, there's a fella 2 yards offside, and he's just not putting up the flag. Just let it play out, and if he scores, we go back and look at it. You know, and this was meant to not speed up the game, but make it a lot easier, make it a lot fluid and stuff like that. And you've linesman looking going, he's clearly 2 yards off, and he's just, I'll leave it. I'm not making the decision. That's it, you know. And that one is really, really upsetting me. But listen, there's loads of people in the chat here, and we're going to talk. If there's 560 people in the chat, if you could please hit the like button, that would absolutely be amazing. But loads of people are on to us here about Man City and the defeat today. And before we go on to Arsenal Liverpool, I just want a little word on Man City from all of us, because the stat was around Twitter earlier. They've lost 10 of the last 36. Liverpool have lost 10 of the last 128 levels, as they call it. Shawnee, I'll come to you first. They played Wolves last week, and people were fucking drooling over them for the first half an hour. When Wolves didn't turn up, and when Wolves did turn up, they looked ropey. City, and today they signed a new centre half for 65 million today, Shawnee.
Ruben Diaz.
If this continues on, Shawnee, they're not touching us this season. They really aren't.
No, I think it's a good thing, Gav, more than anything else, down to personnel or anything like this. City needed to show go again this year, and a bit of grit. And like, I remember a season, like the last 2 years, well, not even last year, the year before, the title running, you'd be watching City, and there was an inevitability about that play, where you were sort of expecting things to come there. But they went 1-0 up there today, and I was kind of like, I don't see it. I don't feel it. I don't feel like, oh Jesus, these are going to come back into it. Harvey Barnes was getting in down that side every single time. Gary Neville remarked on something which I thought was very good, and I never really thought about it. There's a slight hint of, what's the word? I think there might be self-doubt with Pep, because he's moved to these two holding midfielders in the middle. Yeah. Gary Neville remarked that Kevin De Bruyne would normally be in front of a Fernandinho or a Rodri, with a David Silva or another little magician beside him. And that sort of option would cause teams havoc because you drop in, you'd have your low block, and there'd be literally two fellas capable of pulling you apart. But now they're taken away from the wide areas, and once you beat that City press in midfield, they just haven't got it defensively. They don't have the bottle. There's no trust between any of them. And like Mohammed said there, Pep does overthink a lot. He does in the Champions League season in, season out.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it now. City look a bit mishmashed to me. They just don't. And look, it hasn't helped that they're missing their two natural strikers. But it just doesn't seem to be clicking today. And they gave up today. They gave up.
No, that's the thing. And Keith, I'll come to you with this one. Because they go 1-0 up after 4 minutes and it's like, this is the old City. Do you remember? They used to bash people for first 10, 15, get 2 or 3 up in the game. They could just do whatever they fucking liked and save themselves for the next week. They get 1-0 up and Leicester are poor. Leicester are poor for the first 45. I'm going to be honest. I thought this would be a row. But they get the penalty and they get back into it. You know what I mean? And you're thinking, well, all right. But as soon as they go behind, City's heads are gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. And like Shawnee said there, the overthinking comes in. They're overthinking. They're trying to change things straight away. A bit like Brendan Rodgers would do when he's panicking. But the biggest thing for me was they haven't got a set of bollocks between them.
Yeah.
Right? And Kev De Bruyne, you know, the best thing since sliced bread, again, for me, gone missing. When it gets fucking tough, these City players don't want to know. They simply don't want to know, Keith.
That's 100% true. I mean, it's Shawnee touched on it there as well. It's the biggest thing you can throw at them. They do not have the stomach. They have it when they're the favourites and they have a lead and they're, you know, sauntering like the 2 years ago when they pipped us to the league title, you know, and we put the bleeding wind up them. That was a marker for them and they couldn't live up to it and they still can't. They don't know what to do. Like, someone put a stat up about defenders. They're going to sign Ruben Dias now for 60 million. He spent more
64 million pounds.
Yeah, spent more on defenders than Klopp has in general. Nearly at Liverpool.
That was my tweet.
Did I have legs?
The best defense today is being ostracised. Like Garcia, he's not going to be there, and he was the standout performer in defence. Yeah. He's the youngest out of them all, and the only one with a head on his shoulders. And they're bringing this lad Ruben Dias in now, who basically has to be a Van Dijk beside. Now I know they're missing Laporte, but they can still be got. Like, this is the thing with City. A massive thing this year was forced blood, and a forced blood to us. Like, they've already. I said before it kicked off 2 weeks ago, the last pod I done, I said you'll have to go to Wolves and you'll have to beat Leicester to keep up with us, because I knew we were going to win our first 2 games. I knew we were. I had no doubt in my mind. And they're already trailing. And we have a chance to put our foot on the neck tomorrow night on the throat. And our lads will know exactly how big 3 points is tomorrow night.
Fantastic. Go on, Grizz. No, I was just going to say to you, Grizz, how, like, we talked on Friday, on the Friday forecast, about a couple of games over the weekend, how big were they for the likes of Leeds looking to kick on. You know, we discussed it on Friday night. If anyone hasn't seen that show, there's no point in going back and watching it because it's a preview of Friday, but it was brilliant, just to let you know. But Grizz, have Man City written Liverpool's team talk for tomorrow?
I don't think so. I think our guys and our coaches focused enough on, we know what we need to do. We know what Arsenal have done to us, and Klopp's made a note of it and made a point of it as well in the press conference. So we will take care of ourselves. With Man City though, and I kind of disagreed with you in terms of, I didn't think Leicester were poor. I think Leicester stayed in the game. They knew.
Passive was the word I seen in the chat a minute ago, and I think that explains it very well.
Yeah, but that's a different approach from Brendan Rodgers, and he needs to be applauded sometimes. I know you're not a fan, but even though he went down 1-0 early, he stayed in the game. He knew this City is fragile, this City mentally weak, and they just stayed in the game. It was very unlike a Rodgers team. I agree, it was passive, but it was what was needed. And then, you know, as Shawnee says, with a couple of passes, you break that press, and you've always got a chance with the powerful running of Barnes and Vardy. And that's exactly what it was. A couple of passes to slice through them every time. And Man City defenders, as a unit, are probably worse than or on a par with Fulham's as a unit. No, they're that bad. Fuck the names, Keith. Honestly,
I agree.
Yeah, they are, yeah. And he's totally gone against his philosophy of playing 2 DMs. I don't care what any City fan told me. Fernandinho and Rodri playing together is so unlike Pep.
Yeah, and no one's mentioning that. Yeah, no one's mentioning that. Exactly.
It's a massive insecurity. It's a massive.
We are in his head like anything. And
if trying to move mountains to get Messi in didn't tell you how insecure Pep is, nothing will, because it's just, look, we might be jumping the gun here. It's 3 points dropped. It is, but you need to look in the grand scheme of things. They needed us to be the one to fall behind, because that was the narrative going into this year, that Liverpool haven't done the business. Liverpool are gone stale. City will want to fight back. Look what happened in the Project Restart when you went to the Etihad. It's all gone out the fucking window now, because they are chasing already.
Yeah.
They are already chasing. Like you said, Gav, Wolves had a goal last week and you just weren't clinical enough, but they were frail. It was the same frail City that we've been seeing for the last 18 months. This isn't like it's not a flash in the pan.
And you know,
this
Seany,
is characteristic of this side.
You know, like we were talking about how teams are psychologically almost retreating and beating against us now. It's the opposite of City. And teams will see this because it's in whatever shows that it's a common feature now. It's not a rarity. It's not a one-off. It's not like, Liverpool lose a game and we'll go on another 20, 30 game unbeaten. No, this is happening every 2-3 games and long may it continue.
They haven't won 5 games in around the league. They haven't won 5 games around the league in over a year, I think.
And it's all coming from Pep's insecurity, as we talked about. He never sort of goes against his plan of playing sort of 1 DM and everyone else fluid attack. And you know, his tactics of stretching the game, keeping the pitch as wide as possible. Do you remember Sterling, Mahrez, or whoever it was? Did we see any of that today? Have we seen any of that? He's trying to play a compact game through the middle. It's not like him. But it's insecure, that's why.
No, you know what? Sorry, Sean.
There's big characters there like Bernardo Silva, and there's quality players like Mahrez who are in and out of the side and on the fringe and they rely on. And these were players who are being touted as being used as make-weights in deals.
Yep.
Yeah. You cannot tell me that hasn't affected the mindset of these players.
We said it at the time. If you're Gabriel Jesus, Bernardo Silva, and
Riyad Mahrez.
I think Garcia, I don't think Mahrez, it might have been Garcia that was being linked, but Garcia wants to go anyway. So, but those two must have been looking, going, hold on, they're willing to give me away. You're dead right. We said this at the time, Shawnee. But the big thing for me about City's style of play is, and I know what you're trying to say, he's trying to be compact there and 2 defensive midfielders because of but even though he's putting these players in there, right, he's still trying to stick to what he believes should be the way the game should be played. He's not adapting whatsoever. And Shawnee made a point there a second ago, you know, that they needed us to do something. That's the point. That's it, nail on the fucking head. And for the simple reason is, Manchester City need Liverpool to do something to make Manchester City look good. They can't go out and do it themselves. They can't go out and put pressure on Liverpool. They can't go out and put a statement down. They could have went out there today and bashed Leicester and went, we're 6 from 6, boys, and you're playing Arsenal tomorrow night. And they're not looking for them to push themselves. They're looking for Liverpool to come back to them and then see if they can win a game of bingo. And it's not going to work. It's mad to watch. It's absolutely mad to watch. And we had a big debate about Guardiola at the end of the season, and there was a lot of strong words said against him. And for me, he looks like a guy, and I said it, he's wrecking his own head and he's wrecking his players' head, and before long this will all just blow. It really will. Go on,
Waleed puts a good point there about Sané to Torres as a downgrade, and the amount of downgrading they're doing, like, it doesn't get enough mentioning. It doesn't get enough mentioning, you know. They got rid of Company and only really replacing him now with Nathan Ake. I mean, are you worried about Nathan Ake going to City? I know I'm not. They're now looking at a 65 million deal for Ruben Dias. Now, Ruben Dias is a good player. He's a good player. Are you worried about City signing Ruben Dias now? I'm not. I don't think he's going to shore them up. If they'd have brought in, and look, Koulibaly, if they'd have brought in a Koulibaly or an Upamecano, even though they're more high profile, you're probably thinking maybe, Jesus, they're a bit more solid. Dias is a good player. He really is a good player. But you're not worried. Their signings, they're not improving their squad.
But-
It's mad.
but-
Like if I'm Pep now, I'm looking at that and saying, right, Hossam Aouar is going for 50 million euros. There's 51 million. Give me Hossam Aouar because we need something creative in the middle of that pitch because Rodri and Fernandinho sitting there is absolutely stinking. Now, people in the chat are saying Fernandinho's had a falling out with Pep. Not surprised.
So there was talk of him going to Fenerbahce last week. There's talk of him going to Turkey.
Yeah,
Well,
it's madness.
But again, Keith, they can buy the best defenders. Again, I'll go back to
Can't.
it's the
That's the
system.
problem.
It's the system. He hasn't created a system that's strong. His system was based on attack and possession. His best form of defense was attack. His best form of defense was possession. He even speaks about it in many, whenever he's talked about his tactics, he says, my best form of defense is if you haven't got the ball, you can't attack us. Yeah, and so that means he's not relying on his defenders to be strong mentally or even in a structure. It's issues that long may continue, but I agree with you. I can't see it being fixed just by bringing in different personnel. They spent X amount on their fullbacks. Did you see the state of Walker and Mendy today? It's embarrassing.
Yeah, terrible.
I remember Ferdinand, there was an England game. I remember Ferdinand was hot micing and he didn't realise that his mic was still on and he turned around. I think it was City and Chelsea at the bridge, it might have been. And Ferdinand turned around and said, like, England won't win anything with Kyle Walker playing there, whether he's an auxiliary centre-back or a right-back.
Did he say that? Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't realise that his mic was on at the time. And every time you look at Walker, he's a quick lad. He's great going forward.
He's awful.
Physically, he's a beast, Shawnee. Physically, he's absolutely perfect physically.
But he's stupid.
Look at that today. It's pure
Absolutely nothing in there.
You'd no belief in Garcia getting across to Harvey Barnes there.
Yeah.
To Vardy when he pulls him down. Like you said, like Grizz says, cohesive as a unit. City are a defensive mess. And to be honest with you, you could probably look at Arteta and say, was he probably steering the ship towards the back end of the pitch there for Man City because they've been an absolute mess at the back.
Well, look at the differences in the two clubs now.
But I think the issue with the fullbacks at Man City is he wants his fullbacks to be he's trying to do what Liverpool do with his fullbacks, but he hasn't got fullbacks good enough. Okay, and the mix we have of just an outrageous fucking right back we have, he's just outrageous. Well, when people slate Trent Alexander-Arnold, right, and go, oh well, can he do this and can he? Yeah, he can. He can fucking do it all, because if you want to go and watch these two bums playing every week, go and watch them in supposedly the best side you've ever seen in the Premier League. Go and watch Trent Alexander-Arnold. Have a sit down, take a fucking sedative, and relax, because Trent Alexander-Arnold is fucking light years above either of them fullbacks, and I mean light years ahead. Yeah. You can pick at individual things. You can pick at individual things. Oh, an incident here, an incident there. But Kyle Walker is trying to play as a right back, and what he's trying to do is it's like he's nearly trying to impress too much by going forward, and he hasn't got it up there defensively. He hasn't where to be, and all right, physically he's a specimen. He's up and down, but it doesn't matter how quick and how strong you are. At this level of football, if you're out of position for a second, no matter how good you are, you're going to get punished, and that's where they're getting punished all over the place. Yeah. And when you fullbacks that are that bad, it doesn't matter who you have at centre half, because if you put Mendy and Walker in the Liverpool side, Virgil van Dijk would pull his fucking hair out after about 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And Gav, that was great. That was great in the first year, because Mendy was a relative unknown. And Pep was backing on his side, having the ball for 80 to 90% of the game. So he knows, look, these boys might only be challenged once and twice in a game. The problem is Correct. Now, that stigma is gone. That stigma is gone. People seeing what Wolves did at the Etihad when they went there and have a go. People seeing what Palace did when they went there and have a go. Teams are no longer afraid to have a bite back at City. They don't just sit in on the edge of the box and hope for fucking miracles. They have a go. There's a game plan. You seen there today, it was one ball. They were just releasing Harvey Barnes every single time. Literally. Like you see teams trying to do to us. But we have structure. Now, we've started poorly towards the right-hand side of our defence this season, barring Fabinho, who was excellent last week at Chelsea. I'm sure you went over that. But if you look at the Leeds game, they targeted us. That Phillips, the ball over the top, over Trent's head and on Gomez's side was on the whole time. But the thing is, Trent never does anything rash and pulls the attacker down because he trusts Gomez to get in there and make a stop. And if Gomez doesn't get in and make the stop, well, then that's it. You have Alisson there, and that's football. But look at Walker today there. No, absolutely no.
Panic.
No.
Yeah, panic. Because he knows. Absolutely, you're right.
Pulls him down.
Paul, sorry, go on, Shawnee.
Go ahead.
Paul Hardwick has a thing in there, Pep gone by Christmas, right? And I left it up on the screen because I don't believe he'd be gone out of a job. The only way Pep is gone out of City is if they go out of the Champions League. And if they go out in the group stage before Christmas, maybe that's a chance. But quickly, lads, and I'll go around the table and I'll go to Keith first. Could you see him going beyond this season if this carry on continues?
No.
Shawnee?
I think he'd be gone.
No. I think there'd be too many. Pep, every challenge he's ever had, he sort of walked away from.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He had a great at Bayern and he had a great at Barcelona. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Pep is a shy coach because he's clearly not. In my eyes, he built the greatest club side ever. He really did. He put them together. But he hasn't had it that way since. He went to Bayern. They won a treble when he took over the year before. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's looking like Juventus is an easy route for Pep out now. Another out ball, win a title in Italy. There's your legacy. No real financial constraint there with Juventus. No real challenger. Like I think Napoli challenged them a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It looks like the perfect bridge for him. He's not going to stay there and go toe to toe with Klopp every year, only for us to come out on top and us to regret more than them in Europe. Because I'll bet 9 times out of 10 we will. Because
people laughed, didn't they? People laughed when he said that Liverpool's the toughest opponent he's ever faced, and thought he's just saying that. But the relentlessness of Liverpool, of Klopp's Liverpool team, like Guardiola cannot breathe at Man City. He's under so much pressure. Like when he was at Barcelona and Mourinho was there, right? Mourinho got the better of him at one point, but ultimately he had the upper hand. He can't see. He's trying to buy Messi, as Shawnee said, to get the upper hand on Liverpool. Madness.
Grizz, for you, do you think he sees out the season if this start of mess continues?
Oh, he might see out the season, but he won't get sacked, but he'll definitely walk. He won't get sacked. They love him, and rightly so. You know, he's done wonders for that club. Image, European status, whatever. Not much, but, you know, worldwide sort of the brand of football he plays. But he'll walk exactly what Shawnee says. There's no way he handles the pressure of Klopp, the pressure of another manager standing up to him, a la Mourinho. Do you know what I mean? It's too much for him. You know, I love the guy. I think he's revolutionary in terms of attacking football coaching. Absolutely, he is. We can't sit here and deny that.
No.
But there is a question mark now, and Shawnee touched upon it about with Arteta as his number 2, and whoever his number 2s have been, were they the defensive side of things? Because this fella, it seems to be a black marker against him, you know, in terms of setting up defensively, coaching defensively. He definitely walks. Gaff.
Yeah, well, a couple of people have mentioned in there that his contract's actually up in 2021.
Yeah, there you go. He's not going to extend. I know they'll probably keep him here for as long as he won't extend, though. I think, like you said, a lot of people in the chat are going on about Arteta, and I said it myself. I think the role of assistant coaches is massively downplayed by just fans in general. They don't realise how important it is. Like, look at Ferguson. Ferguson always just chopped and changed every few years when
every
he found
couple of years, yeah.
And a big telling point to me was what you and Keith's great with the names. I'm gonna bleed butcher like Kenny Cunningham. I'm bleeding off the ball or something. He brought your man Tiki back who was with my Barcelona.
Chicky Begerstein.
That to me was a telltale sign. Like that's you're drowning. He's drowning there and he's looking for a lifeline. Bringing him in there to see what can help. It's massively downplayed the importance of even Pep Linders with Liverpool.
Yeah.
You see these guys training, you see how vocal he is. You even see Klopp's ability to just release him and let him go do the Carragher things. And I love listening to him talk about football. It's great.
Yeah.
But Pep is drowning big time at Man City, and the only thing that pulls him out of more now is probably a league and Champions League double. And they've never looked further away from it.
Yeah, and you know something, You're saying about Juventus. I think PSG is absolutely nailed on from. I
think so.
I think if it gets to the end of the season and PSG haven't won the Champions League, I think they'll throw everything they have at him. Even though he may have failed at Man City, they will still see him as the best chance to go and win the Champions League, and they'll throw.
And for him, it's literally just the Champions League.
He's literally going in and just France looks after itself, and he puts everything he has on the Champions League.
Makes sense. Italy is a slight. Pirlo now. Pirlo have a bit of time at Juve now.
Well, there you go.
Fans' favorite.
Absolutely,
legend.
Exactly. Whereas Tommy Tuchel, they just get rid of him. They just give him a 3-1 and a can of Coke and tell him to be on his way.
Little pat on the head and send
little pat on the head. Best of luck, Tommy, and I hope they do. I can't stand him. I like Brendan Rodgers more than I like him. That's how much it is. Oh, sorry, Grizz. Listen, enough on them. We're 40 minutes in and we haven't talked about Liverpool yet, but that was a brilliant discussion, and there was no one giving out in the chat about it, which is brilliant. A lot of people just go, "Oh, why are you talking about Liverpool?" But listen, that was the big talking points of the weekend. The penalty stuff and Pep wrecking his head and all his players' heads. Liverpool, I want to go straight into this because this is the stuff that's gone on today. And Grizz, Alisson and Thiago Alcantara rumour that they could be both big doubts for this game tomorrow. I haven't looked into this too much, I'm being honest with you. Where is this coming from? Is there any truth in it? And if it is, do you think we struggle?
Well, there is some truth to it because all the major journalists sort of reported it straight away, didn't they? So that often, usually, unless when it came to Thiago, usually means they're right. But look, Alisson...
Shots fired.
Alisson is massive loss in terms of, for me personally. Now, people can sort of go and defend and think I'm having an attack on Adrian or whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to give my opinion. Alisson out for anything more than 5-6 games is trouble, but I don't think it's that bad. Just because of the fact that, not because of the level of Adrian, but sort of what Alisson brings to this team. And we've discussed it many times. It's not just his shot-stopping ability. It's his command of the back four. It's his aura. It's the understanding. I know him and Virgil had a little bit of a mix-up a couple of games ago, but generally, since he's been here, and it's this fear factor that he has over attackers as well. So, that's the thing. With Thiago's situation, look, we've got enough talent in midfield. We know the system that we play. It's, Thiago's ball sort of, he's fine. He's here for the, he may not have even started, even if he was sort of fit or whatever. So I'm not too bothered about Thiago. I think, and I've said it to you in private, I think Hendo's the big one. I really think Hendo's a loss to us. I think Hendo, we've discussed and we've at length what he brings to this team, mentality-wise. And tomorrow's the kind of game, as Shawnee says, that, or I think someone mentioned that we need to go out and show. I think you said to me, do we need to go out and show them something tomorrow? Whatever, the world. I think that's what Hendo brings to us. He's an absolute leader. He was the one who'll be sorely missed. Look, hopefully Alisson isn't nothing, and I think it is something minor. It's not nothing major. He'll only miss tomorrow.
We don't fitness test if it was major.
No, exactly. I think that's what they said, didn't they? Fitness test. They said, yeah, you're right. And so look, he'll be doing a fitness test, touch and go, no problem. People, what fuck's sake it's like. It's absolute mayhem on Twitter. Our season's over because we've lost Alisson and Thiago, who's not even an active target. I mean, why they're mentioning Thiago is stupid. but look,
imminent.
For me, it's imminent. But for me, Henderson's a massive miss. Despite all the skill and talent we've got amongst our midfielders, my feelings. I think we all have our feelings about what Hendo brings to us. That would be my only slight sort of worry. Not worry, but just sort of, a sad thought. I think we've got enough to sort of beat Arsenal, whether Alisson makes it or not. But over a longer period, I would hate to see Adrian in goal for us. That's just my opinion, and my opinion about Adrian. It's nearly as bad as yours on Rodgers.
Yeah, you need to calm down, relax.
I know.
I could have sworn I was watching Thiago in training on Thursday.
He wasn't training.
On Thursday?
He trained Thursday and Friday. He didn't train on Saturday. He didn't train yesterday, and that's where it all came from. He's in the he's literally...
And the Allison stuff just wasn't same. Trained Thursday, trained Friday.
Yeah, but he was not in training on Saturday. But they were said that he was doing interviews Saturday.
Okay, so it could be just a precautionary thing, and we'll have to wait and see. Maddock apparently is saying that they're almost both certain to be ruled out. Shawnee, do you go with this thing about? And I agree with Grizz, by the way. I think Henderson's the biggest miss of the three of them. I'm being honest with you. I think simply because he does set a tone. He sets, and we said this after the Chelsea game last week. He sets a tone. He sets a level that he expects everyone to be at. From minute 1 to minute 90, I think he's a massive loss, Henderson. But it would be compounded, Shawnee, if Alisson wasn't in goal, because listen, you can rate Adrian or not, but they look at that. Arsenal look at that as a bit of a pick me up, and then to compound the Henderson thing, Thiago's not there, even though our midfield is probably still better than Arsenal's. But it's not a great time to be missing those three in particular, is it?
No, it's never a good time to be missing lads out of spine your team. I think we can cope with. I'm not. Henderson's a massive influence on the team, so is Thiago. But I think there's enough quality there and depth in midfield to get through this game against Arsenal. Alisson is a big loss. The drop off between Adrian and Alisson is eons. You know what I mean? And I know he stepped in last year and did a decent job, and we got through it. But the fact of the matter is, you don't want to be missing Alisson for any amount of time, and you don't really expect that keeper to miss out on many games, because that's where I was the one saying that, like, Adrian's an alright number 2 goalkeeper because he's not going to play that much. But if it's another case of Alisson missing 5 or 6 games this year, then it's probably an area that we'll need to address then next summer, because we can't really be without Alisson tomorrow night. It's massive. If they're doing like fitness tests, I'm not looking at these as potential long-term injuries. Alisson and Thiago's the flu. You won't do a fitness test for the flu. They're not going to make you run up and down training pitch in the morning to see how your fucking lungs are. I'd say the boys are on the hot whiskies tonight and they'll be grand tomorrow, ready to go. I'd say the knocks, and the thing is, a small knock, playing with a small knock can become a minor issue, and then a minor issue leads to a not so minor issue. So I reckon that looking at the long game here, and the decision will be made, you just have to trust the backroom staff. I don't think it should affect their ability to get a result tomorrow night. No, not one bit. And I also don't think fucking agents should be on Twitter slaughtering Adrian under this picture, because that's even more counterproductive than not having your best players to select from.
Yeah. Keith, if these two are injured and it does happen and it does go that they don't play, it screams Fabinho back in midfield and Joe Gomez at the back for me. Is it doing the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, if Gomez is fit, I think he'll go back in there. I think Fabinho will go into midfield. I think even if Thiago's a slight concern, he won't play him. There's no need to play him. We're well stocked there. We could literally play Grujic and 2 others and still have a decent midfield. You know what I mean? Like, Thiago's not that he's a luxury, but he's one that you don't need to take a risk with. Alisson, slightly different. I agree with Sean. I think we can get away with Adrian for a game or 2, but you don't really want too much more than that. It's a strange one, as people are saying in the chat there. It's only Maddock really that's running with this, that they're out, and that he gave some gammy information about the Lincoln game that people would be playing that weren't playing. So until we know they're out, there's no point in sort of panicking about it, because it could be a thing. If it's a little knock, right, and an injection will get Alisson through, they might do that. They might just say, right, you can.
What time's kickoff? What time's kickoff tomorrow?
8 o'clock, is it?
I'll have the team news around 2:30.
Let us know.
Email me.
If you look at Grizz's Twitter, in his bio there, you get his email address for any inquiries, and that includes team news at 2:30 tomorrow.
But I agree with you, Gav. I may not agree with you in terms of who goes into midfield, because Curtis Jones has been outstanding in every game he's played. And why would he not sort of be one of the first options in that midfield tomorrow. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying maybe I would go with it. The safe option is to bring Fabinho back into midfield and Joe Gomez, if he's fit, to centre-back. But I think Curtis Jones, the kid, absolutely has done everything and more to be a contender for a starting slot in that midfield, especially if we've got no Thiago and no Ox and no Hendo. You know, I don't know what people think of that idea.
I'd have Curtis Jones in ahead of Naby Keita, I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
based on the first 2 games of the season. And you could argue Wijnaldum, yeah. But the only thing, I think with Henderson now, I think Wijnaldum is nailed on. It's just the makeup of the midfield you're looking for, what we usually go for. If you're missing Henderson, Wijnaldum is usually nailed on. And because you're missing Henderson, and Wijnaldum is nailed on in one of those 2 positions, as they call them, I think it's going to be a case of Fabinho does go back and play in his natural midfield position. Keith, I'll stick with you. Arsenal, 2 wins from 2. Had a good chat on, was it Thursday night? On the football terrace with a couple of Arsenal fans, and Friday again with Turkish from the Arsenal fan as well. And he was quite honest. He said, look, we feel like we're going in the right direction. You know, we are still missing a couple of players that we'd like to bring in. He doesn't feel that at the moment Arsenal are close to Liverpool's level, but you never know in a one-off game. When you're going into this one, Keith, what are you looking for as dangerous from Arsenal, and where are you looking to get at them?
I mean, look, Aubameyang is the threat for them, isn't he? He's going to be the goal threat. But we've spoke, and I know you guys spoke on the show the other night, the midfield is absolute dirt at Arsenal. It's an area of the pitch that I don't think they can control games in. I think, depending on the personnel, I know Tierney's being past fit, so Tierney will play, but does Tierney play left full or left?
I think he play left. He'll play left.
Or does he play left centre back? And I think you might have said it on the show. It's taken away. Why buy him? Why buy a fullback like Tierney and play him centre back? I think it's the Arsenal team news will be interesting. Willian has started very well for them. He will certainly be a threat. Up top, I think they look all right. You know, whether it's Lacazette, Aubameyang, Willian, or you know, you never know. You might throw Nketiah in there, which I think would play into their hands a bit. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Ultimately, I think I agree. They are improving, and I agree with what the lads did say on that pod. Slow, small steps. It's what Arsenal need. They need to get a bit of bollocks into them, as we were saying about City don't have it. Arsenal are trying to get that, and it's one that they don't have yet. You know, they're linked with Thomas Partey. What's this?
Go on, keep going. I guess
no, they're linked with Thomas Partey. They're linked with Hossam Aouar, but they haven't signed them, so they're still going to be going with a midfield with Xhaka, with El Neni, with Ceballos. You know what I mean? It's not the most creative. So look, I fancy us to steamroll them, to be honest, and I could have egg on my face, but I just fancy us to give them a beating. I think we owe them one. I think that'll be, the team will be saying, look, they've beaten us twice in a row now. There's a narrative starting to be built that Arsenal are our bogey team. Let's put that to bed. So I think they'll go and do it.
DSE UK in a super chat, say it quietly, Grizz, £50 to your favourite charity for team news at 2:30. I'll DM you on Instagram. He's not on Instagram, brother. But if you want to DM him on Twitter and he gives you the team I have to, and it's right, you owe him 50 quid for a charity. I think that's brilliant. Carry on from DSE UK. I don't know what Grizz feels about that. But
hit me up on Twitter. Send me a message on Twitter and we'll take you up on that. No,
brilliant. There we go. Shawnee, for you, you know, the obvious stuff is Lacazette, Aubameyang. You know, I think Saka is quite good. Willian has started off quite well, although Willian has this tendency to disappear in certain games. When it's a fast-paced game and it's a bit rough and tumble. But when you're looking at this Arsenal side, Shawnee, what are you looking for out of Liverpool to get at them? Because we've talked about the Tierney thing. Tierney's being used as a centre-back as an insurance policy because they don't have 3 good centre-backs. Yeah. So he's trying to leave him there, and he's trying to use him then nearly as a full-back when they have possession, stuff like that. It's an insurance policy. But what are you looking for, Shawnee? Where can Liverpool get at these? You know, down the sides, through the middle, put balls in the box? What are you looking for from Liverpool tomorrow?
I think we can get at them multiple ways, but I think the big thing that we need to do tomorrow is be clinical. And I know that's like saying bleeding water is wet, but the last 2 games against Arsenal, the one at Etihad doesn't really tell the story because we battered them, to tell you the truth. We battered them. We had about 25 shots, and very unlike Arsenal, they were throwing themselves in front of everything. And I have to say, under Arteta, they've massively impressed me. I actually think at current, they're probably the 3rd best team in England at the moment.
I'd agree.
That's how I rate them highly at the moment. I like what Arteta's trying to do. I think he's the best of these new skill coaches. I think he's found systems to work for players. Like Xhaka was dead and buried at Arsenal, and he's made him a really, really good player. I rate Xhaka. I think he's a good player, a very good system player. I think he's massively overlooked by opposition fans in the same way that Henderson is. I think people don't realise how good of a footballer that he is. I think we just need to be clinical tomorrow night because we will create chances. They will give you chances. I know they've been defensively better, but they will give you chances. They gave West Ham chances the week before last. They just didn't take them. They were lucky to get out of dodge, and he won ugly. Something Arsenal haven't been able to do in recent years. So I just think we have to be clinical tomorrow night. And I think we'll control the ball. I think the way he sets up Arteta now is he doesn't mind the bigger sides having more possession against them because Arsenal are very naive in years gone by and they seem to go a little bit gung-ho. And that's why we've basically slapped them up at Anfield nearly every time we've played them for the last few seasons. I expect tomorrow night to be a little bit different. I think they'll be a little bit more pragmatic. It'll be a little bit more cagey. I think the team who's more clinical will come out on top.
Grizz, Chris Prosser says, I hope Bobby turns up. And when Seany said we need to be clinical tomorrow,
Bobby has to turn up tomorrow.
Yeah, no, he does. And when as soon as Seany said, Grizz, we need to be clinical, and I seen Chris Prosser saying, hope Bobby turns up. How key is he, Grizz? Now, and that sounds like a very obvious question, but usually when we're given chances by teams, they fall to Bobby Firmino. And we do a lot of talking about him because, he's missed that one or he's missed this one. There's a high chance, Grizz, tomorrow, if Bobby Firmino turns up and decides he's going to start hitting targets and putting balls in corners, that Liverpool win the game because he will get chances.
Yeah, I mean, some players have favourite teams. It does seem Bobby's favourite team to play against is Arsenal. He usually lights up the stage when they play against Arsenal. But I kind of have a different opinion and thought on the game. I think the midfield is key for us. I think our midfield have to be proactive tomorrow. Arteta's game plan in recent times against us has been let our fullbacks have the ball. Double up on our fullbacks and our wingers and let our midfield have the ball. And our midfield's been too pedestrian against them, whatever the three has been in there. Now, I'm kind of thinking maybe we play the second half formation in the Charity Shield because we absolutely terrorized them in that second half with that change of formation. So that's one option. And if we don't change the formation, then our midfielders have got to be very, very proactive, Gav. I think our midfielders have to be far quicker in the movement off the ball, on the ball, even getting into the box. It may not be they may not be instructed to do so in the past, but I think Klopp will have them very, very energized, instructed to sort of be far, far more active and alert. Because it's clear to see that Arteta's had sort of a game plan where he lets our three have time on the ball. Now, obviously, it would have been different if Thiago was playing, but it seems that he's not going to be playing. So, whoever the three are, and we can sort of discuss, or we've discussed who they could be, possibly be, they need to be active and on their game, and that's why we win the game. Because, yes, Arteta and Arsenal have been very structured in their defending and same personnel, but it just back,
I forgot all about this. Go on, Grizz.
How can I go
on? Tom on the pod.
But, do you know what I mean?
Listen, there was meant to be David Luiz, couldn't get Kevin Keegan, so
he's like Haley over Roy's Rolls. He is.
He's like
with less
But yeah,
Rose West. Go on.
Jesus
I have no
Christ.
idea where I was.
Oh, that's gone.
But yeah, the midfield gap for me, plain to see Arteta's same personnel, but look at the difference in their attitude and mentality. I think they're a very good team now. I honestly do. And if they get Partey and wow, that's some fantastic signings. But at the moment, they've got El Neni and Xhaka in midfield, and maybe Ceballos or Saka. Now, R3 should be match and above for them. And that's where it's going to be one, in my opinion.
I think the press is huge tomorrow. I think the press by Liverpool is huge because somebody, it might have been Shawnee, said that Phillips' ball over the back of Trent in the game against Leeds was something that they targeted. Look, it's their out ball. You know, the winger has pace, he gets on it, he can get at air defence, he can force into tackles or mistakes or openings or crosses or whatever it might be. But that was their out ball. And that it was their out ball because there was no press on him. And Arsenal will look for this. They will look for, like, Caboyas or whatever, you know, all right, he mightn't be the most physical, but if you give him time, he will pick balls in behind you for Aubameyang to get after. So I think the likes of Bobby, Mane, Salah, and more importantly, the two lads that are playing in the 8, I think the press is going to be huge tomorrow night, because if we press them and we're making them rush balls out of the back, we're going to win them when they go up in the air. But if we don't press them, we give them time to pick balls in behind, they have got players there that can do it. Okay, Xhaka is liability a lot of the time, but he has a good left foot. You know, Caboyas is a good football. He reminds me a lot of Andre Gomez at Everton, the way they play. You know, they don't like it overly physical, but if you give them time, they'll spray passes around the pitch all day long for you. You know, so I think the press is absolutely massive. And I think if this is where the fans come into it. If there was fans in that ground tomorrow and Liverpool went out and pressed them, they'd fall a fucking sunder. I've no doubt about it. I like what Arteta's doing. I like where he's going. I like the way he's given an identity to the Arsenal, a new identity, which is crucial to them. But I still think they have enough players on that side that if you pressurise them, they wouldn't know what to fucking do. And in fairness, they were fairly fortunate against West Ham, in my opinion, to come out with a win. Fulham was just, they were very good, but Fulham were poor. So for me, tomorrow, Liverpool need, I don't know how they do it, because I've said it all along, if both teams come out and play to the best of their ability, Liverpool win the game. Handy, right? But Liverpool need to nearly go out there tomorrow, and in their own heads, they're in a full stadium, and they're being roared on, and there's an intensity there, and they have to somehow, you know, I don't know, they have to get into that frame of mind that it's absolutely do or die tomorrow night. Now, it's not. It's the third game of the season. But if Liverpool get into that mentality, they'll beat Arsenal. And not only that, if they carry on with that mentality, they'll absolutely upend this league again, from what I've seen over the first couple of weeks. Lads, predictions. I want score predictions and I want some scorers. J81 is the first one in with 3-1 to Liverpool. Keith, give me a score prediction and scorers, please.
4-1 to Liverpool. Bobby 2, Sadio and Mo.
Okay. Grizz, I'm going to come to you next. Score predictions and scores. I know it's 2-2, but give us the scores.
No, it's 2-1. And I think Jota gets the winner after Bobby opened the scoring.
Oh, I like it. I do like it. Shawnee, give us a prediction.
2-1 Liverpool, Alisson and Thiago both to score.
Good stuff, good stuff. A penalty during half time and a second penalty after the final whistle. I'm going to go, and I'm going to stick with what I've always said, 3-1 to Liverpool. I'm going to go with Trent to get one. I'm going to go with Virgil to get one. And I'm going to go with Mane to get one. There's loads coming in here. 1-0 Liverpool. Red Steve has Minamino, Bobby and Mo at 3-1. Avo has 10-9. He must have been speaking to one of the fields. Let me see. Bertie has 4-1 Liverpool. Manny with 2. Salah and Trent. So look, overall, I think there's an Arsenal fan in there as well. He had 2-2. I had to throw it in there from. He's
probably my burner.
No, he's a there he is. The Arsenal fan
Arsenal
circle
fans,
channel. He's a regular listener, a regular watcher here. So he had 2-2. So he's always here. And fair play to him. Salah of LFC has 2-0 clean sheet. Salah and Mane. Owen Burke has 2-0 to Liverpool. So it's not like, apart from Keith, it's not a romp by any means. But I think it's huge. I think if Liverpool go and win this tomorrow, 9-9, keep up with the Ev. Looking down on Man United, looking down on Man City, I think it's brilliant. Lads, before we finish, there's talks of Alisson, Jesus, Carragher is going to Union Berlin on a season-long loan. Kabak, who was rumoured to be, an interest in Liverpool, I think he's spitting at fellas, so that might put an end to him. But overall, with not long to go now, is it 10 days until the window closes, somewhere around that? Shawnee, do you feel our business is done? And the main question on it will be, and people have asked us this, so I'm going to throw it out there, are you concerned over the centre-half situation?
I think our business is done in terms of incomings, yeah. Outgoings, no, I think there's loads to be done. I think there's a bit of cleaning up to be done there. Would I like a centre-back? Yeah, I would. But after seeing Fabinho there last weekend, I was more confident when I was not needing him. And the thing is, although Gomez and Matip are out now, you need to look over the course of the season how long are both of them going to be out for at the same time. Whereas that we'll need to deploy Fabinho in that centre-back role. So I think it's something that we could definitely get through to January with, as is. But now, I can see us going ahead with what we have. And look, you'd have to be happy with it, because this time 2 weeks ago, people were losing their shit. Yeah. We got the business done. And
you emigrated.
Everyone around us still needs to do work. Whereas we're not. We're pretty much ready to go now.
I mean, would you, if you were to look at it, heaven forbid, we need to put a centre back in, would you rather have like a Kabak to go in or Fabinho to slot in? I'd rather Fabinho slot in there than have to throw Kabak in. So I'm happy to go with Fabinho as centre back. I think our business is done. I think it's, as Shawnee said, go to January, and if you need to look at it then, if Matip is a long-term concern, if Gomez picks up a knock, but people have the thing that Gomez is injury prone. He's not. He's had a few bad injuries, but he's not an injury prone player. I think we'll be fine at the back. I think the business is done. I know there's a lot of talk for another attacker, but I just can't see why we would do it.
It's worth mentioning that when Klopp was asked in the conferences about centre backs, he brought Billy Cometio into the equation as well, and he wasn't even prompted. Now, we never did that for Sepp van der Berg last year on that Philip, apart from UEFA Cup or your fucking Carabao Cup toys. So Klopp obviously feels Cometio will be useful at some stage this season. He obviously feels he has enough quality. Now, I heard he had a mare yesterday in the...
Yeah, he's an OG. Yeah.
But he was injured, wasn't he? He was only back from an injury. So maybe that...
He could be used. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've loads of depth in midfield. All of our players aren't all going to be injured at the same time. Don't believe what you read these saying. Well, if Liverpool's fucking starting 11 is out with them... struggle. No, we won't. Like, we've loads of bodies there. Relax, we'll be grand.
I think I'll give Grizz the last word on this, but I think that I still think one comes in. I'm not too sure whether it be a centre half or an attacker. I'm kind of torn on it, but I think the sales will be. Yeah, I think the sales will be there. I think Grujic, Carragher on loan, obviously Wilson and Brewster. And like people that think, oh well, they're bringing in all that money, could we not buy somebody? But like, we're paying something like, is it 9 million up front this season for 4 seasons, for the likes of Thiago and Jota. So teams are going to come in with the same sort of deals to us. It's just people are helping each other out by not asking for as much money. It's just spreading it out over the years, and that's fine. But I still think one comes in. I don't know whether it be an attacker or a defender. I'm not too comfortable with the centre half situation. I think I just don't want us. I don't want us to fail somewhere in the season because Matip's gone out for another 6 weeks and Gomez falls out of form or gets a niggle, and we end up having to put Fabinho there. And there we are, Henderson now here now, and we're kind of, what way will we do it? Ox is out, the kind of way. So for me, I'm just not overly comfortable with the centre half situation at the moment. But I could be completely wrong. Yeah, I think that's it. But I think it'd be mostly outgoings now. Liverpool will look to do in the next 10 days or so. Grizz, for you, incomings, outgoings, centre half position, injury worries. How are you fixed on all this?
Yeah, I think we're bringing one as well. I think it's all revolving around Matip. I think Matip, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but his injury is slightly worse than it's been portrayed and told. And that's the issue. I think, they're going to, from what I've been told, they're going to really look at the Matip situation, see if it's a persistent injury or see if it's a new injury or whatever it is. And then that's the situation that's going to be that's the injury that's going to dictate whether we bring in another centre-back. I think we will. I think someone said in there, Grizz promised us a striker. What kind of bollocks is that? Why would I promise you a striker? It's FSG's job to bring in your striker. I said we tried an ambitious loan, but forget that didn't work. So forget that. I think we tried bringing a centre back, and it could go well into the window because I think the UK market's open a couple of weeks longer, isn't it?
Yeah, 10 days or something.
Yeah. So I think we're going to try to bring in a centre back because the Matip injury. That's my understanding.
We've 10 days left now, haven't we?
Yeah, but the extra day it's only within England, so they can only buy from like the Championship or League One.
What extra days?
Back from there.
Oh, well, yeah,
I think it goes to the 16th that they can do. The Championship can still trade and the Premier League. They can't bring in from outside.
So the Premier League can still trade within England.
Yeah, that's what they came out. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know, because people were saying, if Liverpool wanted to get him, the deadline isn't then. It's the 16th, but they're not going to buy a centre-back from the Championship, ready?
Well, look, we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting now. That makes it even more interesting because, like, if teams are having a bad time and then they just start sloshing money around England, it could be a bit of crack for 10 days. People robbing players off each other. It could be a bit of crack, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll still go with the 6th of October as things go. It's been a brilliant show. Tonight is Sunday, so of course it is the Fatback 4. It's been brilliant. Tomorrow is Monday, game day. We will have a short Instagram video. I think I'll be doing that one before the game. After the game, of course, the game will only be finished around 10 o'clock and the forum will be with you at 10:15 with match reaction. So go and watch that. The transfer agenda show will be Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday, of course, is the midweek fix, and Friday will be the Friday forecast. Loads of content for you. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you hit the bell icon, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, all them places. No matter where you go and look, just type in LFC Daytrippers and you'll find us on any platform. We're the first thing that shows up, no matter where you are. Grizz, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'd like to thank you for joining me tonight.
It's no problem. You don't need to thank me.
Oh, well, I do. I like
all
to.
Right.
I wouldn't have you talking about me. Shawnee, back from emigrated 2 weeks ago because we didn't sign Thiago. We signed Thiago and he managed to get a flight home last night. He's back and he's the Clark Kent, the Irish Clark Kent, as people keep fucking calling him. Shawnee, thanks a million. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Pat. Nice. Thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure.
Good stuff. We get Shawnee on again during the week if we can get the money together. Keith, it's been a pleasure, and you'll be on all over the place this week, won't you?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll pop up here and there, yeah.
Okay. We're very good at talking about football, but Shawnee has a little story to tell you about a last man standing competition that he started 3 games ago. How long did it last, Shawnee?
Well, it took me about 6 weeks to get at the point.
Yeah.
And literally the arse fell out of it today and yesterday. Last man standing morning game week, like never seen anything like it. But to make it worse, the lad who won it had United yesterday.
Yeah.
And they literally won after the final whistle.
Yeah.
Fucking madness. And me, like the fuel, was waiting on Wolves tonight and they got bet out the back gate. So we're actually looking to start one again, another one. If you're interested, get on to me.
Get on to Shawnee on Twitter if you want to get in. I think it's 20 quid in, isn't it?
Yeah, we might make it to Halloween, you never know.
We might make it to the end of the window. But it's 20 it's 20 euros in, payable through Revolut, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you get knocked out in the first week, you can buy back in for €10. But after that, then it's a free for all. But 3 weeks into a last man standing with 25 fellas in it, and the fella that had United won it.
Well, a bit of crack as well, to be fair.
Yeah, there is a WhatsApp that's a bit of crack as well. Yeah, right. That's it. That has been the Fatback 4 podcast. I'd like to thank you all for joining us again tonight. The chat has been amazing again, as always. There's kids crying in the background again. It's definitely Grizz's, and he's just going to ignore the fact because he's amazing at that.
That's what he does.
That's what he does. Over and out.